welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
And today we are back to talk about another episode of the ChI, one of our favorite shows. Ron says this like every week. It just keeps getting better and better. So we're glad to have you guys here with us. And please hang 1 second and we'll be right back to get the discussion started.
One burnt you, know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that
All right, everyone, we are back, and like I said, we are talking about the ChI. This is season 3, episode 5, titled Terror Town. And woo, so I got a little bit of relief this episode. Let's just clear that out the way. Keisha is still alive.
Well,
thank goodness.
For now, you know,
for now, because if she keeps it up, she won't be.
Yeah, when we get to Miss Baker, I got some words for her, okay?
Well, I thought we could start off with that because it was just like the biggest thing that we have been worried about. That's kind of been the build up this season, talking about like her disappearance, and we were wondering whether she was dead or alive. And you know, like last episode, they kind of found another girl that we were thinking possibly could have been her. So it was just looking real bleak for Keisha. But this episode, we kind of learned that she has been locked away in somebody's house. They never show the guy, and there was some speculation about who it was. So what did you guys think about, you know, Keisha being found alive and who it might be?
Well, I'm glad she was found alive, and I'm glad he was feeding her somewhat. What was it, Cheerios or something? All that.
The Breakfast of Champions.
Breakfast of Champions. You know,
so it might have been Wheaties.
My initial thought was that it might have been the coach because, you know, as they, panned the room and we saw the trophies and the additional gym outfits, you know, I'm thinking, oh, wow, it's got to be the coach. But after further talking with you two, it might not be. I didn't take into consideration the voice, but whomever it was, Keisha, let me say this. This ain't no white girl movie. Get your ass off the ground and start running. I mean, you are a sprinter.
Somebody on Twitter said, Keisha, you're on a track team. This is the time for you to be flojoing out of there.
Yeah.
If you want to pray when you get to where you're going. How about this? Pray while you're running. Tell Jesus an extra 5 miles per hour so you can get your little ass out of there. You don't.
I was definitely screaming at my TV.
I mean, I'm like, is this what happened? Black girls don't fall on the ground talking about, oh Lordy, your ass on home.
Right.
They get right up and keep on booking.
Right.
She didn't fall. She just dropped. Look, the grass can't do you no good. You had about 10 to 12 seconds of getting your little behind up off that ground and fly. Just go. So I'm a little pissed off. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a little pissed off at that scene because black folks don't drop.
That's true. You know, I was very my anxiety was so high during that scene because it was like she had spent most of the episode trying to break free. And there was the part where she was like locked in the room, and every time she went to another part of the house, she seen that there were surveillance cameras there. And then she was like humiliated, like they dehumanized her, having her being watched while she's using the bathroom and all that stuff. So it was
and telling her to smile.
Yeah.
And it was
the camera while you're in the bathroom.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I was like, I can see how that could be like psychologically a lot on your mental.
Yeah.
And so like the emotional part of it, I was just feeling so bad for her. And, you know, should she break free out of this situation, she is going to be so traumatized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never
and then he told her, when I found you, you were dressed like a slut. I said, oh, wow.
I'm still trying to figure out who this guy might be. I mean, you know, obviously he's got to be some part of the track team or something. But
you know, I actually watched the episode with my subtitles on, and when it got to his part, his name listed as the speaker was Omari. So I was wondering, like, okay,
Listen, I think I was telling you guys offline. Who knows? He could be the father of the track coach. Because remember, Emmett and them had the track coach that she was messing with last season beat up. Mm-hmm. He got beat up. So I'm just like, maybe this is his revenge if he's the father. I don't know. And then some people on Twitter seem to think that he was the guy that was in the pizza shop that was putting money in there for the donations and told Kevin to stay up. Mm. They looked up, the Twitter sleuths. They looked up his name, Omari, and everything, and they seem to think it's the same guy.
He definitely sounded like an older gentleman.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I say not so gentleman.
I had talked about this before, that if they decided to take this route rather than having us find Keisha dead, now it's a different type of storyline. We can see what's going to happen the rest of this season when she's found, and maybe next season when she has to deal with the aftermath of this trauma.
Yes.
Well, my namesake is on it, or so he appears to be, and so he's very close to the house, obviously, because he hears her scream.
Because he called out Keisha.
Yeah, he called her name. And so, does he find her? And if he does, I don't know how much fight Ronnie has in him. That's why I'm like, I'm going to bring on that military spirit, boy, because you're going to need it.
Ronnie has, he's been revitalized. He got a lot of life pumped into him this episode.
He got baptized.
The pastor helped him find some shelter and some clothing. He's around a positive community of people at the church, it seems. Mm-hmm. And even the grandma had something nice to say for once.
Affirmation too, because before when she didn't recognize him, she was like, "You're not my grandson. You're a bum," And now he came looking nice and sharp with his suit jacket and everything. Now grandma's like, "Oh yeah, this is the Ronnie that I know. You're gonna find her."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think Ronnie is on it from now on. I think that's what we're probably going to see next episode. He's about to be Inspector Gadget again.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get beat up like the white dude beat him up last week.
Right.
That's kind of what I was going to say. I hope they're not setting him up to be an even more tragic hero, because it's like he's going through this whole process of redemption. It's almost like they're kind of setting it up for him to get to the point of where he saves her, but maybe loses his life in the process. It kind of feels like that.
I thought about that too. Yeah. I was like, I hope not.
No, I thought the same thing. It's right around the time that you start writing people out. So, and he may be the one that they, write out of the show. So, I mean, after all, he did get baptized now for a second time.
Yeah.
So, he's what you call him, Tiffany? Super or Tierra?
Oh, Superman. There's a meme.
Yeah.
There's a meme going on Twitter of him, of the Superman, and then Superman is saying, "Keisha," and he's looking around.
Well, so I don't know how I feel about that if he was to get, written out of the show through like some kind of death. Because it seems like so many people on the show have been expendable. And I don't know how I feel about that, because, you get attached to certain characters, good or bad,
Right.
And it's like, how many times can you blow through cast members and expect the storylines are good, so people will continue to watch. Mm-hmm. But it sucks. It sucks really bad when people that you see growing through certain seasons when they get written out like that. Because even Reg's character, like, he was somebody that I could have seen redeeming himself. But Reg got written out, and I'm sure there was some stuff behind the scenes, but I just think that the writer should be more careful about that. The showrunners as well. They should consider how the audience reacts to, just being expendable, like having expendable actors. And
I'd like
renew the cast every season.
I'd like to see him in for, maybe at least this season. I don't know what they have coming for next season. But I think he's a very pivotal character right now. So, another point I wanted to bring up was Mr. Duda.
You be reading my mind.
Well, one thing that he did with Jake that brought me back in a time when I was about, 13, 14 years of age, and my dad was working, doing the same thing pretty much, and he was and we started talking, and my father put on some jazz, and I hated it at the time. I didn't like it. But he had me sit there, and he said, "I want you to sit there until you feel it." And when Doodah said that to Jake, it just took me back, and then all of a sudden I started to feel it, and I've been into jazz, the whole time. That album, Von Freeman, it's a nice album. It's a very nice album. So
I do like that they're highlighting Chicago artists.
Yeah,
too.
I do too.
Yeah, definitely.
And one thing that we saw with Doodah during his sex scene with Candy. Look, I keep calling her Candy. Do we know her name on the show? Rosalind. Okay, so in his love scene with Rosalind, and she said you need to use Jake more. He said he's not an accessory. So we see that Doodah is becoming attached to Jake.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that he was definitely trying to build the bond with him, but Jake completely was turned off by the violence. And I think that, not that he hasn't seen it before, because we know he comes from that environment. Reg was hardcore, he's seen that all the time. But I think it's a shock to him because it's coming from Otis, somebody who he looked up to as like he genuinely he's a father figure and a legit businessman, and that he is one of the few people in their community that made it out, without, shady dealings. And now he's kind of seeing things for what they are, I think, which is unfortunate because he seems to have a soft spot for Otis as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he went out actually to beat the guy up. I think when Jake asked, could he go, I think it was, genuine. Yes, come and see how I handle this thing. But, brother man had to have one sentence too many. He could have just kept his mouth shut. And, when he asked him, what's up, he could have just, hey, I'm sorry, let it be,
But he went ham on dude. And that's one thing that I appreciated about Jake. Because, Jake is out here trying to be hard and trying to look like he's talking about he's street smart and all this stuff. In that moment, we saw that he is still a kid.
Yeah.
Because he freaked out. And he ran to his brother's house. And then he just ran into his arms and everything. And I like to see that. Because I was like, he's still a kid.
Right.
Yeah. That's true. And I think his eyes were really open to the fact that Otis has two sides. And that's dangerous for him because previous episode, we seen Otis snapping on him about wearing the shoes in the house. And then we see the sweet side of Otis. And so now he sees that it's like, okay, this guy's like Jekyll and Hyde. You never know what you're going to get out of him. And that's frightening for a child to not know how to react to somebody and know that they have to walk on eggshells to,
Exactly. That's not security at all.
No, but you go ahead, LaWanda.
No, I was thinking about what she said, the two sides, because I was thinking, okay, he's a lover, he's a fighter, because he starts out, the show starts out one way and then ends with another, so you see these very complex sides of him. But what I thought about Jake was that, in that moment, he was kind of alone. He was just out with his friends. They both had dates. They both chose to leave, to stick with their dates. And he was kind of, it's almost like he's trying to find some stability, like you said, some kind of shelter, some comfort, somebody who's there for him. And I guess he too is seeking that bond with Doodah and just found out this dude is crazy.
Well, he's also trying to find himself too. I think he's trying to find himself in this whole because, like you said, Papa's out, he's got a date, Kevin has a date, he's the only one without one. And he's trying to reckon with all this. He's seen change, and I don't think he quite knows what to do with it. But I think he's beginning to come inward and more or less check himself out. Because I think when he saw Doodah beat up that guy, that street smarts and that street mentality that Jake, always talks about faded away. He's
a kid.
Right. He got scared, and he wanted comfort. And what did he do? He went to his brother's house.
But at the same time, Trig is just as volatile.
I was going to say that.
But he is just as volatile.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I guess it's the lesser of two evils at that point in time.
So, and maybe, but how much less? Because you've seen how he snapped on the social worker. He seems to have like a really short fuse.
He's angry too. Because I said, oh Lord, he's about to blow this whole interview.
And I think Imani could settle him. I don't think
she definitely does.
Yeah.
And so,
but she has her own demons too. So it's like
sure. But I think that with his temper, Jake would be better off with the two of them. You know, but then Jake has
with who?
I think Jake would be better off with his brother and Imani.
With Trig.
Oh, okay.
You know what? I keep thinking about it's something that's sticking in my head, but it's on another show. Have you guys, if you've ever seen American Gods, when Mr. Antsy was doing this monologue and he was talking about how angry gets stuff done. Yeah. And I'm thinking that that's the lesson the doodle would teach him. Like, look, we all come from these circumstances and you could just be violent and out here wilding, or you can use it to get you somewhere. Because like, don't be misled in thinking that you go into these corporate situations that they are any less cutthroat. He was like, you're gonna need this kind of street sense and maybe this aggressiveness to be able to get stuff done. So I think him having that type of personality, that kind of reputation, will help him in the political arena. I don't know if it's right, but I think it's effective.
Well, we
know who else had that type of mentality. And you know where I'm going? Ghost.
Yeah.
Because he could be, Ghost could be ferocious and angry and stuff, but he could be smooth as silk too.
Let's not even talk about Ghost, because you know how I feel. And I've been convinced you of that the whole season. It takes that to be that kind of street. If you're going to be in the street, and that's what you do. You got to have two sides about you. Particularly if you got a family, somebody you love, you're going to have two sides. There's no other way. And having that other loving side is a detriment. I mean, that's a liability.
That's true. Now, speaking of being two-sided, we've seen the youngins kind of like hanging out and going to this house searching for like paranormal activity.
I was going to say that.
But they got to the end and the conversation came up of being like book smart and, having privilege versus being street smart and knowing how to be savvy in the streets. And there was like a little argument between Jake and Gemma, and even Maisha jumped in and was popping off. And so it was like interesting to see the different perspectives of the kids, because Gemma is a really, really smart girl. But when she's out of her element, that girl is like lost.
This is what I was thinking about that. I was like, this is when you see folks from different sides of the track, because you heard Maisha say, no, you ain't from the people. You're not the people. So they're like, I said, so they got little social economic divides going on as well, because Gemma comes from money. They from the hood. So Jake and Maisha throwing shade to Gemma, and Gemma is like, come on, Kevin, are you coming? And I was like, oh Lord, I really hope that these friendships don't end up breaking up over this relationship.
Exactly. Especially between Jake and Kevin, because it's always like every episode they about to go at it.
Yeah, because he keeps disrespecting Gemma. But LaWanda said last week about Kevin's aggressiveness is coming out. Like every time Jake says something about Gemma, he's ready to go at him.
It's only a matter of time.
In prior episodes, Kevin was a little afraid of Jake, and I think Kevin has grown up in these last couple of seasons and episodes to the point that he's seen some things. So Jake doesn't scare him anymore. And I
don't think Kevin is afraid of anybody right now. No, his sister got snatched. Yeah. Brandon died. Yeah, a lot of things have happened that's kind of hardened Kevin. So I don't think he's really scared of anybody right now. He faced down that dude that pulled a gun on him.
Exactly. So he's growing up in the streets fast. But what I like about Gemma is the fact that she shows the that you can do both. You can be smart and street smart at the same time. But
I don't think she's street smart though.
Not, yeah.
We saw that. We saw how scared she was walking through the thing. Like Kevin was like, just come on. Well, like she is book smart. She is cultured and refined. She is not street.
If you street smart, you're smart enough to know that when you're walking through that neighborhood in a blackout, your ass better be frightened. Fear sometimes gets you out of things. As much as it can get you in, it can also get you out.
But people can smell fear too.
Well, but she was
acting like.
But
it was scary.
Yeah,
she was acting scary.
Right, but Kevin's bravery negated whatever she was putting out. So she had the right to be with Kevin, and she had every right to be afraid. But I think Kevin's, bravado kind of lessened whatever was going out in the atmosphere. He was able to kind of, dial it down a bit for them.
Well, I guess the last thing that I'll say about, all the kids and stuff is, despite all of their issues, they were able to come together at the end of the episode, kind of, at Sonny's. Maisha and Papa made it official, and they were in there partying, dancing, and Kevin and Gemma eventually made it to Sonny's as well. So it seemed like they kind of ended off on a decent note. We still don't know where they stand with Jake, but hopefully Jake will keep them as friends so that he can have like some form of support through his peers.
Well, it seemed like Maisha and Gemma, when they were at Sonny's dancing and everything, they were on, cool.
Yeah, and I really think that Jake is just a little jealous of the two. And I think he's going to come around. He's learning how to treat a woman, for one thing. And I think you're going to see some growth out of that. I think he's going to come around and find himself a young lady that he can, admire, and she can admire him, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was Jada. She had been on the date with her new man that she works with, Tomas, and she got to meet his family and found out that he actually has a wife,
deceased wife.
She's deceased, right?
She's deceased.
Yes. And so I don't know. How would you? I really like Tomas. I feel like he's a genuine guy, but I felt like, how do y'all feel about him not divulging that detail right away? Like, do you think he should have let her know that before introducing her to his family, or was he just about not there yet?
I felt like it was kind of soon. I'm like, how long have they been dating for her to even meet the family? Because I was like, you're going to meet the family already? I was kind of perplexed by that.
I didn't have a problem with that. I think my biggest problem is the family. First of all, stop comparing Jada, to.
I think her name was Irene.
Say again.
Elena. Her name was Elena.
Elena, stop doing that. First of all, you were dead wrong for doing that as family. And, whether he should have divulged that information before, I kind of go back to what you were saying, Tiffany. I mean, I don't know how long they've been dating, and I'm not certain. It's a very tricky thing because sometimes a guy can divulge too much too soon, and then, y'all look at him like, oh, he's a little weak. I don't know about him, blah, 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 whatever. And then,
Look at Luana face. I'm laughing at Luana face.
No, because I think it's one of those things. Are you married? Were you divorced? No, I'm a widower. I didn't think it was one of those things that, that's too much information. I thought that was very preliminary. Let's get this out the way. What's your status? I'm single. I'm divorced.
And Jada should have asked the question. Yeah. I think she could have asked the question. I don't think that because you have a dead wife that should bring about any kind of disagreement in the relationship. That just doesn't make sense. I think what made it worse is that the family was hyping on it, and she heard it first from them. Yeah. And that's what made it bad, not the fact that his wife is deceased. I mean, you would want that, wouldn't you? Not want her to be dead, but at least not have a wife,
Now you sound awkward like Jada. That's because Jada said she made the same Freudian slip. She was like, oh, thank God. But what she meant to say, she said, well, thank God he's not living a double life.
Right.
And she said all the wrong things.
Right. Well, she did
say she's been out of the game for a while, so she's resting.
Right. So I understood it.
Yeah.
And she also seems like she might have like some esteem issues with herself, where she was in the bathroom kind of reading out the affirmations from her Iyanla app or whatever it was. And so it's good that she's trying to embed those affirmations in herself, but it's just interesting that she doesn't already see that in herself because she seems so confident.
Well,
that's a lot of women though. They can project.
She's
that
confident.
they have all this confidence, but they have a lot of insecurity. So
But when you haven't dated in a while,
Right.
that's where that insecurity comes from.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And and moms and people in the family, that's tough. You walk into a situation that's already kind of awkward. You already want to put your best foot forward, and then they throw that kind of information on you. It's unsettling. So I can see how that would just make you feel uncomfortable. It's not that it can't be overcome, but I can see in that moment, like, okay, I'll walk in here.
But let's give her a little credit though, because she kissed dude on the cheek. So I got this. And, she seemed to be very confident at the moment. But then, like I said, those parents.
Yeah.
She's caught off guard. They didn't give her a heads up. And the other thing they did was they asked her if she spoke Spanish. And she was like, oh, only a little bit. Then they proceeded to start talking Spanish. And when people do that, it automatically makes you think, oh, they talking trash about me.
And they were, and they were. And so, but I think that, when you are dating outside your race, and there's a language barrier, you have to be ready for what comes next. I think it might have gone over easier if she said, I'm beginning to learn Spanish, and let it go at that, but she didn't know. She was blindsided. So she told the truth, and it made it look rather simplistic to them. The only
thing that I think I'm gonna knock Tomas for is because he knows his family. He knows how they are and how they'll react to this woman. So first of all, you're bringing in this new woman who they're going to judge harshly, but y'all haven't even gotten to the point where you're established as a real couple. So that shouldn't have happened in the first place. I feel like it was just a setup from the jump to put her in that position to be
That's
judged.
what I said. It was too soon.
How your family.
And Tomas was, moving too quickly. I agree with you. It should have been.
Although I think he had good intentions, but he should have.
Yeah, I think he did. It's just too soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Way too soon.
And when your family is like that, what you don't do is send them in there blind. You give them tips. You know what I mean? You kind of warn them, so it's not a setup. Like,
exactly. And or if it were me, I would have stayed with her. I'm like, okay, I know you got this, but I got this too. So we're gonna sit down together and chat, because that's the first time they met, and she needs that to rebound from, in case just in case something goes left like it did. He'll be there to correct it.
Yeah. Well, moving on from Jada on to her hard-headed son, Emmett.
Oh.
Didn't we say last week that Sonny was going to find out? I said, I knew that was coming.
Look, Emmett, in as much as he's his own worst enemy, he puts his left foot forward, and when he puts out his right, it trips the left. I mean, he just can't seem to walk in unison at all. And what he's, and I don't know.
But that's growing pains, though, because did you hear Jada when she said he was almost 21? I thought Emmett was older than that. I thought he was in his 20s, but I thought he was maybe 23, 22. But she said he's almost 21. So, at that age.
Well, maybe, but I think had Emmett, a couple of things popped off. First of all, Emmett knew that Sonny was behind on his on the mortgage for the thing. Now, had he gone to Sonny and said, "Look here, I want to do this thing at night. I got this new chef. She's she's amazing. We want to do something at night, make a little money. But what we like to do is help pay off that mortgage that you're behind. Let's give him something, and give him a little extra because it's his place." So this is a business situation, Emmett, and you got to understand business. Business is not something that you can sneak around with and call yourself legit. You're not. If you wanted to be legit, he should have gone to Sonny and said, "Look, Sonny, I know that you're behind on your rent or mortgage or whatever it is. Let us help you, and this can help us. I will, whatever rules you have, I'll follow. But not only are you using the man's spot, but you're running up the electricity. You're putting him more and more in debt, and without any kind of benefit to Sonny. Sonny had every right to say what he said, and I don't know why Sonny expected that much from Emmett. But he expected
listen,
Emmett at that time to be a man, and like you said, he's still a
Well,
kid.
he said he was like a son to him, so he was kind of grooming him to be more responsible and trying to help him to get to that point where he was the man he could potentially be. But I think that Sonny was really let down because he thought that they had a better relationship where
Yeah.
you can come to me and say something, and we know Sonny is very prideful about his restaurant, about his food.
I was about to say that.
At the end of the day, money talks.
Always.
And if it's to help him get out of some debt, then I can see Sonny saying, you know what, I don't like this,
Right.
but
let's try.
I'm gonna let you slide. Yeah.
Well, he probably would, but at the same time, when Dom tried to give him some tips about his chicken, he was offended. So I was like, he's kind of prideful, and yes, he needs the money and everything. But he received that. Would he be willing to work with Dom? Because he was offended when she tried to give him advice about his chicken.
I'm not sure if he would have had, Emmett would have had to divulge who was the chef for that night shift. You know, if he had, it might have been a problem, but I agree with, Tiara, money talks, everything else walks. So if he knew that he could, catch up on his mortgage, make some money on the, on the side, and Emmett would also have to help with inventory because you're using it, I think things would have gone a lot better.
Yeah, I think so too. Did you have anything to add, LaWanda?
Yeah, I think he was just disappointed that, he gave him an opportunity to come clean and he didn't take it. So
Exactly.
I think that's a recognition that he's young, he's going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, because of the relationship we have and because I have supported him and given him a chance, he should have just come clean. I think he would have felt better about it that way too.
Because he gave him that chance. He said, I know what you're doing. And that would have been the point to say, okay, look, this is what it is. This is what we're doing. But look, there's something in it for you. Yeah. I understand that you're behind in your mortgage. We're going to help you with that. We're going to catch
Dom even encouraged him to come clean.
Yeah.
She said, she was like, you just need to tell the man.
Exactly.
He's very short-sighted. He doesn't see the long term. He's saying things like, oh, I can, let's get it going right now. And then later on, we'll cut him, a check later. But it doesn't work like that. You have to be upfront. It's always best to start things with a clear conscience and on a solid foundation rather than build that up later on and risk all of your relationships along the way. And it just sucks for Emmett because we seen him last week. I was so proud of him. Mm-hmm. It's like every time that boy takes 2 steps forward, he takes 5 backwards.
Yeah.
And so I think this is my prediction. We can jump into that, but the predictions is I think by the end of the season, Emmett is going to be on the road to being the man that he needs to be. And I think that him and Sonny will be able to smooth things over.
I hope you're right. What I'm experiencing with Emmett is this block in his mind to understand what business is all about. It's not about, a quick buck here and there. You're either going to do business, you got the mindset for it, you have the talent for it, but you got to put all that together with some common sense and some real business structure. You're either going to be in business or you're not, and start looking after other people too. Look after Sonny. Sonny's been real good to you, so you have to take that in consideration. You wouldn't be who you are, where you are, had it not been for Sonny.
Exactly. All right, you guys got any other predictions for next week?
Well, I'm just wondering what you guys think about the Dom and Emmett thing. I mean, it's gotten pretty flirtatious. I'm like, any day now.
Any day is going to be some. Well, and plus, what I predict for next episode, the next episode, she's going to console him in only a way that Emmett knows best.
And you see, he had Keisha on her mind too, because when he was looking at the thing with Keisha's missing picture and everything. So
I was hoping he didn't take anything out of it. It was a donation can, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was a donation can.
I just hope he doesn't dip into this, please.
Yeah.
I think he only dipped into Sonny's chicken stash this week.
Okay. I hope so. My prediction is they're going to get closer to finding Keisha. And I kind of think that Jake is going to be torn between whether or not he goes back to Duda or if he stays with his brother, because there are issues there too.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. That's interesting. I do like, though, up until that point, when Duda was actually, playing the music and introducing him to some jazz, I liked that. I saw a man, really trying to educate through the arts this young kid. I think that there's a lot in Jake, and I think that it's coming out slowly. It's just oozing out. But in some respects, I like Duda with Jake.
Mm-hmm. And I just thought about something too. Something I wish that Duda would do is, because he is in the public eye. He's a public figure now. He's trying to get elected. And instead of doing the dirty work and beating up the guy himself, if he is still going to be involved in that kind of lifestyle, get your boy to take care of your light work. You don't need to be hands-on.
Yeah.
Right.
Hands-on. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, he could have had all that taken care of and not moved a muscle, and which is what he should have done. But, it's going to take a minute to get the street out of him. But he doesn't have a minute.
But you can't take the street out the guy.
So they say.
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm definitely looking forward to next week. Shout out to Burgundy Baker. She plays Keisha on the show. She was interacting with us on Instagram. She even reposted us. So we definitely appreciate her support. Also, thank you guys so much for all of your comments and all of your viewership. We are very grateful to still have, all of these fans of our page, and even people that are new, that are just catching on to us. We definitely appreciate you guys. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our page, and also click the notification bell so that you get alerted every single time we post. We are also very active on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Spot Real Talk, and in the comment section of our YouTube page. We always read the comments on our YouTube page, so keep them coming. Guys,
I was going to say,
Go ahead.
Since we're acknowledging, might as well acknowledge that Lena Waits did retweet our post for the recap too. So thank you, Lena.
Definitely. Well, I enjoyed it. It's been fun.
All right. We're going to call it a night.
It's done.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.